This is WJTS Inform. I'm your host, Bill Potter, and joining us in the studio, as usual during the legislation on a Friday, is Mark Messmer, State Representative for District 63. Mark, welcome to the show.
Bill. Good to be here.
Well, you know, we are, I guess, we're beyond halfway point, but we're still pretty close to the halfway. Yeah. We're a little past it. But now there's more and more action and more bills that are being amended and changed as they go through. And recently, the gaming bill came from the Senate to your committee of public policy in the House, and some major changes happened there.
Yeah.
Can we discuss the...
Sure. Yeah. As the bill, and I guess the thought processes coming into session were, we've got competition from surrounding states that's taking business from our casino industry. What are we going to do to address, the concerns that, as Ohio and Michigan, get theirs gaming online. Illinois is talking about, bringing gaming online, casinos into Illinois, Chicago. Kentucky, continues to talk about expanding their gaming operations. What are we going to do to help keep our, 9 casinos and the 2 racinos competitive? Because if we don't do something, pretty soon, those companies are going to, and as with any tax policy, and whether it's a business incentive policy, whether it's corporate income tax policy, companies look around the country, and as the climate changes for what's a business-friendly climate, they're going to move where they get the best deal.
Well, let me say, why is it so important? Does it mean that much money?
It's about $600 million a year to the state revenues. I think it's the 4th highest income item in the budget is gaming.
$600 million to the state, or to spread out throughout the counties?
That's the state's portion of it.
Oh, then that doesn't even include what
the counties are getting. That doesn't include what the counties get.
Okay.
Correct.
So, wow.
Right. And each county that has a casino, they get the gate receipts have always been the funding mechanism that that was distributed to the county of origin, and then each of those counties have a reallocation process that they're supposed to share that revenue then with the surrounding counties. So we've always gotten a percentage, and primarily because originally as drafted, if the French Lick Casino, the original intent was to put it on Patoka Lake. Well, that didn't work out with the Army Corps of Engineers, so we get even a little bit more portion than the other counties that have surrounding counties around a casino, but we're part of that revenue sharing of the gate receipts. So there's several $100,000 that come to DuBois County from the gate receipt percentage, and then there's a couple $100,000 that comes from the state, because as a whole, all the counties that don't have a casino, there's $33 million that's split up per capita that goes to every county in the state, and so every county gets something from the casino overall revenue, and then the counties that have the casino get the gate receipts, plus that gets spread around. So probably to DuBois County, it's probably a $400,000 to $500,000 per year, that comes in to the cities and county coffers to help pay for roads and whatever else we're doing here. So the bill, as it left the Senate, I think missed the mark on about every the goal that was stated coming into session. As the bill left the Senate, it would have eliminated the county's gate receipt portion it would have had a 2-year phase out, and it would have cut the $33 million that gets distributed to the counties from the state side of it by 20%. So it was going to be a significant drop in revenue to the counties. And back when all the casino process started, they said, okay, we're going to license these counties around the state to have a possibility of a riverboat or with French Licks. But in those communities, you've got to have a referendum that says, yes, my voters in my community want it. Well, as part of that referendum process was the commitment that part of that money that comes from that casino would be able to be used for economic development, infrastructure improvements to your community. You're going to be willing to have a casino, and some of the bad things that go with a casino, we're going to let you share in the revenue from that in your community to help build the things you need to build and support your schools, build your roads. I mean, all of those things that that you can benefit from. So it was really sold as a local economic development tool, which it is, has been, and is, and should continue to be. The state's going to benefit from the overall revenue. The local communities should benefit as well, but by the process of eliminating the local share, by cutting the distribution of the state share, all the bill ended up doing was trying to make the state's income stay intact, to the detriment of the local communities. And so when that bill came over, we repealed the provisions that were in public policy this week that would have taken away the local revenue portion of it, from the gate receipts. We replaced it with instead of a $3 per person, the revenue neutral formula that they came up with that said creates the same amount of dollars was 3.45% of the overall, money that the casino takes in. That would be a balance, with looking at it both ways. And then we restored fully the $33 million that gets distributed to the counties. And in an effort to help the casinos be more competitive, which was the start of all this, it allows the casino to have a process of what they call free play dollars, where maybe if you've been there to play before, and it's usually prior customers, they'll send you a coupon that says, here's $10 to use, $50 to use to come in and come and visit us again. We haven't seen you in a while. And use that to bring, promotional dollars to bring customers back to their casinos. Well, currently, if they give away a free play coupon, up until now they have to pay taxes on that as if, instead of a $20 coupon, it was treated the same by the state as if somebody paid them cash for that, for those chips. So they were taxing money that they, promotional coupons that they were using to bring people in. We're going to allow every casino and the racinos to have up to $2 million a year of deductibility of that free play promotional coupon. And whether it's used for in-state customers, out-of-state customers, we don't really care how you use it. I mean, everybody's going to get some deductibility of that, which will help their taxes that they pay in and help them be more competitive, which was kind of the start of the whole discussion. So that bill will now, I think it's going to get reassigned to Ways and Means Committee to do one more fiscal analysis of where the bill stands. But without the changes that really have supplied money to every community in the state, mm-hmm. I mean, without the local portion staying intact, I just don't see that bill is going to really have much of a chance to move.
Now, states around Indiana are wanting to bring in casinos mm-hmm. or gaming.
Sure.
And that would be direct competition to us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we need to make sure that we keep that money coming in, because that's good money for the state of Indiana.
Right.
What's to keep somebody from opening a casino right across the river, from one in Indiana?
Well, that's the tough part of where we're at is Ohio a couple years ago passed allowing casinos to open up in Ohio, and they just, the same companies that operate in Indiana, went to Cincinnati mm-hmm. and built a casino because they get much more favorable tax treatment in Ohio. And in Ohio, 85% of the overall casino dollars stay in the local community. The state gets 15%, and the local communities get 85%. So, I mean, Indiana's got the highest tax rates in the country for casino operators. I mean, by an order of magnitude of 2 to 3 times higher than any other state in the country. And so they're, if they can set up operation across the state line in Ohio and get, considerably lower, taxes that, that they pay on the same dollars of activity, they're going to go where the tax treatment is best, just like any other, whether it's income tax, other abatements and tax incentives that we use. They're going to look at where can they invest their money on an operation and where can they get the best return on their investment. And when we started the casino business in Indiana, 10, 15 years ago, I'm not sure, but we were the only people around. And so we could charge that higher rate to our casino operators and get by with it because, we were the first ones in in the area to do it, and so it was we had that advantage. We could charge them pretty well whatever, as high a rate as they could stomach and still set up operation. But as Michigan and Ohio have come on board, Illinois is not going to be probably too far behind. We have to adjust, or those patrons, those dollars will go to the surrounding states, and we'll continue to see our revenue decline. So we've got to try to do things to help make it competitive for them to be here.
Okay, now let's move on to something else, and that would be the bill concerning Sudafed purchases.
Yep. Senate Bill 496 is the pseudoephedrine bill. Currently, there's some retailers are exempt from the what they call the instant real-time tracking of Sudafed purchases, and this bill will require everybody, unless they sell just the little 2-packet, at the convenience store, those little 2-tablet packets won't need to be required. But if you buy a box of whatever 24, 48, 96, if you buy a box of that, it tracks it in real time, and about half the states in the country now have adopted this real-time instant tracking of Sudafed purchases. Currently in Indiana, you can buy, a 96 count box would be the 1-day limit, whether that's in, individual smaller boxes, but you can buy 96 tablets per day, and you can purchase that 2 times per month, and that's the quantity limit that's tracked in real time. We started that real-time tracking here, I think about 2 years ago. Since then, about half to maybe 2/3 of the states have adopted that same real-time tracking mechanism, and we're going to require everybody that sells boxes of pseudoephedrine to track in real time. And what this bill will do will limit, once you'd buy the equivalent of 16 boxes per year, above that you'd need to get prescription for it. Seems to hit a sweet spot where it allows folks not to have to get a prescription. So there's 2 states that have adopted, I think, prescriptions for any sale of pseudoephedrine, and that's a pretty expensive step to take for most people. To have to go to the doctor to get your prescription, take time off of work, pay the additional cost for the prescription costs of the really a pretty effective product for folks that have allergies. There's been attempts to come up with other non-pseudoephedrine based products that relieve the spring and fall allergies that unfortunately many of us have. There's really no equivalent that's ever done it. So this kind of weighs the balance of making it not too burdensome for people who are using it for legitimate purposes, compared to trying to stop some of the one of the key ingredients to methamphetamine. We also heard in testimony through this process on this issue that about 90% of the methamphetamine comes from Mexico. So what we're doing is trying to deal with about 10% of the problem. Is it a problem? Absolutely. But even if we'd stop all pseudoephedrine purchases, we're not going to stop the total methamphetamine problem. So we're trying to deal with local methamphetamine production issues and all of the bad stuff that goes along with that, but weigh the concerns of what's the law-abiding citizen's burden portion of that.
That bill has not been passed. It's just still going through the House.
It came out of committee last week. We amended it on the floor. I think they had one small minor amendment that we did on the floor this week, and it'll come to the final passage Monday or Tuesday next week. And I would expect it, with its current balance of illicit use versus law-abiding citizen concerns, it strikes a pretty nice balance, and I'm sure it passed out of the Senate pretty handily, and I would expect from testimony we had in committee and on the floor that it should pass as well on the House floor.
Okay, and one thing quickly to wrap things up,
Yep.
you're running for Senate, state Senate.
Absolutely, yeah. Had been talking to state party leadership, Senate leadership for a couple of months, and kind of had things ready to announce, but we were planning on announcing when session was over, and when Senator Hume announced his retirement, we needed to be sure folks knew that that I was planning and ready for that that step as well. It'll cover a lot of the same area that I have now. It'll pick up a few more counties. I've got part of 4 counties now. It'll be part of 6 counties on the Senate side of things. And so when session's over, we'll get that process started. I'm looking forward to that. So,
well, good luck to you, Mark.
thank you.
Thank you for being our guest.
You're welcome.
We have had on WJTS Inform Mark Messmer, District 63 State Representative. Thank you for watching.